What up, everybody? Hope you guys are doing great today. I've got something special for you in this video. I'm going to be talking to my good friend Ryan Chisesi. He's a videographer based out of Portland, Oregon. And we're going to be talking about marketing yourself as a creative. We're both videographers. We're based in two different areas of the country. He's in Portland. I'm in Austin. And we have very different styles, but both of us realize the importance of marketing ourselves and making sure that we have solid content to post. And naturally, we both have slow periods, and we handle them very differently, but he and I have a lot of conversations with each other that turn out to be very beneficial. So I figured it'd be a good idea to share some of the conversations that we have, because I know that I learned a lot from him, and I know that he's learned some things from me in different areas. So I think this is an area he really excels in. And so I wanted to share both of our knowledge with you guys today to try to help condense that amount of time that you're in the slow season, and what to do when you're in that time to help drum up some business and make it not feel like you're so stagnant. Yeah. All right, perfect. Cool. So I already did an intro. I told everybody a little bit about you, but yeah, maybe you can describe yourself better than I can. So maybe let's compare and contrast. You want to introduce yourself to your own camera, and then we'll take the audio from that?
Yeah, I guess my name is Ryan Chisesi. I am a freelance videographer and editor based out of Portland, Oregon. Self-taught. Went to YouTube University, like most people nowadays, right? It seems to work pretty well. And then the trial and error was my other school. I just basically filmed anything and everything I possibly could.
Yeah, very smart. Yeah, we're pretty much on the same boat there.
Yeah.
I didn't really mention it in the intro card, so to speak,
Yeah.
for this video, but yeah, I feel like we're pretty similar. We do different things, but I feel like we both started with hair, and then we were like, how can I get more hair business, presumably,
Yes.
right? And then you were like, oh, I've got this fucking camera, dude.
Yeah.
Like, let me see how I can use that. And then it just, I don't know, one thing led to another, and somehow we both ended up here.
Yeah, exactly.
So
yeah, mine was crazy. Long story short, and you kind of know, but I used to, I cut hair, and then I had an injury on my shoulder, and I had to have surgery, and I couldn't cut for about 4 or 5 months. And during that time when I was recovering is when I really buckled down and learned how to use a camera, because I freaked out and I was like, what am I going to do to pay my bills? I don't want to go back to working at a call center, so I better figure something out. So I just started to go for it, and then before I knew it, literally less than a year later, I'm like traveling the world with people doing things I never really thought I would ever do.
yeah, exactly. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, we talked to each other a little bit about this beforehand.
Yeah.
But so the topic for today is marketing yourself as a creative.
Yes.
And I'm using that broad term
Okay.
because I feel like we can hit a couple different markets here. But we'll focus mostly on video, photo kind of guys.
Okay.
And girls and whatever.
Yes.
But yeah, so I felt like you and I, we text each other a lot about just business stuff. And I know that I always come away from a lot of those conversations being like, damn, I feel like a lot of people don't really know this. So I thought it'd be cool if we could, just sort of the same kind of conversations that we have over text and over that Marco Polo app.
Yes.
About just different things that creative people can try to do when they're in that slow season of not necessarily having a project to do that week or that month, maybe they've got other stuff booked in the future, but like it's a little bit of a dry spell. Like what can we do to get out of that? And this is sort of jumping off the back of when you put out that video, like the I Can Help is what I'll call it. I thought that was really great, and obviously it inspired me to do my own.
Thank you.
So stuff like that, like what do you think people can do when they're in that slow period? What are some ideas that you've tried yourself that work and some that didn't?
Man, that's a good question, and it's cool to hear you say that, because I've seen what you've done and the different areas you've put yourself in, be it music or hair or weddings, just anything you can kind of get your hands in. So I know you're not afraid to try different things, and I think that's kind of one of the biggest things is to think, okay, what am I willing to do? What am I absolutely not willing to do? And then to really ask yourself why you're doing it in the first place. Because one of the things I found is I have a lot of people that ask me how to do a bunch of things, and I give them all the information in the world and they do nothing with it. And then I realize that their why behind what they're doing, honestly, at least maybe at that moment in time, isn't strong enough. And so for me, it comes back to just really figuring out why you're doing what you're doing and what you want to achieve. And then from there, you can kind of put together steps to figure out how to better market yourself, right? You know what I mean? So I start there before even anything else. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think we both kind of know that if you're in any kind of creative field, like money, of course, is like something that you need and that you're gonna want to have. But if it's like, I'm just gonna fucking like make all the money in the world and I'm a split up, what's that riff-raff quote?
Oh, right? Man, it's
like, I'm gonna blow up and act like I don't know nobody. So
man,
that's more than likely not gonna happen.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
Yeah, definitely having a purpose is a good place to start. I feel like another thing that's important too, because you're right. Both of us try a lot of different stuff, in things that we're familiar with and things that we're not familiar with. But I think, and this is a commonality in both the field that we're in, but then in other fields as well. You can do different things, but there should be a certain like brand identity or style or something that ties everything together.
Absolutely.
Right? So like, I have this like dark cinematic kind of thing that I like to play with. I don't like to go crazy on, like After Effects and all that sort of stuff. So I can take a wedding video, which is like something beautiful and about love and like, a happy, joyous moment. But then it still feels like a project like coming from me, or like Nevermore Visuals as the moniker is.
100%.
Like, because it's got more of the cinematic feel. It's got the sound design, and it's got the storytelling, which I feel like is the commonality for me. And you have like this crazy style that, I mean, I could never do, but I trust that no matter what project you were working on, it has your own kind of flair to it.
It's true.
And it's a very unique look. Like your look isn't similar at all. Well, I mean, it's similar to some things, I'm sure. But I can look at your videos and I can be like, okay, whether that's a wedding or whether that's a music video, like, I know that's from Ryan.
That's good. I think that's good then, right? Hopefully.
yeah, absolutely.
I don't know.
Absolutely.
I go back and forth.
So, yeah, of course, we break out of the box, and eventually we are always trying to expand to the next step forward. Do you find yourself, like, when you're kind of in those slow periods, do you think to yourself, like, what more can I offer? Like, do you start to try to offer more things and find space for that as well? Or do you try to hone in on exactly what you know?
Absolutely. I do the whole Gary Vee thing of doubling down on what I already know, but I've also learned that I'm kind of not afraid to be insane in the sense of like trying everything to market myself. I find a lot of people talk, again, like it goes back to that whole why, and what are you going to do and how are you going to do it? People talk about doing things all the time, but then they're like, I want to be the biggest this or that. And then I see that they're all over Facebook, but they don't use Instagram or TikTok or Twitter or anything, you know what I mean? And I'm like, how are you going to be the biggest all time when nobody knows who you are because you're only bearing down on one platform? So for me, like especially in those times of like, what am I going to do? How am I going to expand? I always go to, all right, how can I get the most eyes on me? And a lot of the times that involves not being afraid, and not being afraid involves trying out different things, no matter how uncomfortable it might be, even if that's just an app, because that app might bring about something just crazy different that you never expected or saw coming just because you tried something new. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I saw you do that with TikTok God.
Yes, yeah, I know. I get that joke a lot, actually, from a few people now.
Yeah.
Which is funny.
Yeah. I definitely agree with that. I can be better in certain areas. And then, yeah, have you tried LinkedIn?
Yes.
Have you tried
yes,
that
I'm
one
on
yet?
LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I got to connect with you.
Yes.
I just last night I was like, LinkedIn is really boring. Maybe I can bring some flair to it. Didn't work out very well because I'm connected with like my girlfriend and like a bunch of fucking people I don't know. So it didn't really do all that well. But I've been getting into YouTube ads.
Yes.
And I just ran one for the video that I did the other day.
Really?
And that works really well.
Really?
In terms of getting clicks and getting people on the website, I ran two different kinds. I ran just a plain Google ad for my website, and I put $60 into that, and then I put that ad on targeted YouTube audience.
Wow.
For $20, and it did like infinitely better.
Really?
Yeah, it was insane. So, yeah, trying new things I think is a good place to start. I mean, you never know what's gonna come of that.
Oh yeah, and you have a good point too. I mean, I'll be the first to admit, like I talk about trying everything, but there are different, especially areas that I myself need to be better at. Like I've tried everything, but it's hard. I found that it can be hard to be an amazing presence in every single thing. I mean, when you have Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, LinkedIn, TikTok, you have all those things, YouTube, it's really hard to like stay on top of all of it, especially when you're on your own. So like right now it's like, yeah, I do a lot on TikTok and Instagram and I do some with my Facebook, but I have to double down again on my YouTube and my Twitter. And I mean, you're right, we all have different areas. And I think back to your question before, that's part of the whole, how can you maybe find more work or get more motivation, do more things? It's stepping into those things that maybe we might have neglected and either trying different things or trying the things we've done on other applications to see if it works. And then even from there, honestly, to go back again one more time on what you said is, or what you asked is physically going out and filming. I've gone out to like there's a local shop here in Portland called Blue Star Donuts, and I just went and got a donut and did this cool little 20-30 second edit that was just all what I wanted to do because nobody was telling me what to do. I wasn't being paid for it. And then they saw that ad, the video that I posted, and then they wanted to talk to me about work. And even though that didn't work out working with them, I still wouldn't have gotten that opportunity had I not literally left the house and then put something up from going out. So I think it's all of those things, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That's funny you mentioned that. There's a restaurant near me that they don't know it, but tomorrow I'm definitely gonna go in.
Nice.
And I've done a little bit of research on them because I ate there once and they were so good. The restaurant's called El Bruto.
Okay.
But I can tell that they really have it together and they care about their social media.
Nice.
So my plan for tomorrow, because they've got a good image already, but their videos frankly suck.
Yep.
You can tell it's not done by a videographer. It's like those like we'll call them videos, but it's really like a couple iPhone photos taken and then they like lapse them together.
Yep.
So I'm gonna go in tomorrow and this is something that a lot of those like marketing guys talk about a lot. Gary Vee talks about it. Chris Do talks about it. Is like adding value that's huge for the client, but isn't necessarily huge for you. So I'm gonna go in tomorrow, and I'm gonna go there. I've done my research on the place. I know that their owner's name is Delfo, so I'm just gonna walk in, and I'm gonna be like, "Hey, is Delfo here?" And he's probably gonna be there because he's the owner of the
Nice.
restaurant. And I'm just gonna say, "Hey, I came here. I had an amazing experience at your restaurant. It was honestly like your customer service was fantastic. I researched your website, your Instagram. I think everything looks really good.
Nice.
But I noticed your videos are really low performing. I personally really loved the meal I had. I thought it looked beautiful. I took a picture of it as soon as I got it. So, how would you feel if, either today or sometime this week, I come back and we maybe film for an hour? I'll give you that content for free
Huge.
and just see how it does on your social media.
Yeah.
And if it does well, I have no doubt that them being a more forward-thinking company, we could at least have the conversation.
Yeah.
In worst case scenario, I have a cool food thing
Exactly.
to show.
Yeah. Even if it doesn't work out, now you have something in your portfolio which might land you another food thing later.
Exactly. And then it's like, what's the cost to me? It's like, yeah, like doing free work sucks sometimes, but at the same time, I don't really do food stuff.
Yeah.
I think food stuff's pretty cool. I like watching Daniel Schiffer's thing. I've done things closer to his style for like my tattoo videos, which is a place that I'm more comfortable in. So I don't think I would necessarily go out and do a free tattoo video because I've kind of worked with pretty big people in that industry to the point where I don't feel like I have to justify myself.
Yeah.
I can just be like, look, dude, a guy that created like an entire style of tattooing hired me. So I don't really, if you like it, you like it. If you don't like it, you don't like it, and that's fine. But I haven't done the restaurant thing, so I'm gonna give that a shot.
Yeah, and you to piggyback on that, it's funny because I didn't even say that. Is the whole free work thing, and I think it really depends on where you're at, what your skill level is, and what you have to offer, things of that nature. Free work is what got me, I guess, more or less where I'm at now. Even though it's my crazy style and all those things or whatever that people talk about when they see my work, most of the stuff that got me the attention that I've garnered over the past couple of years was all based off of free work. And actually, a lot of it was even work that I lost money on because I flew myself out to places to be in a position to work with people that I knew could get value from what I did. And then just doing that for them put me in front of other people that then hired me. And then I did end up making money after the fact. But definitely weighing, where you're at in your career, what you have to offer. And I have a lot of people that actually message me all the time that are new, that are like, how do I get paying jobs, this and that? And I ask how long they've been filming. And they're like, oh, I got 3 months. And I'm like, okay, do you have a reel? They're like, no. Have you worked with this, or this? They're like, no. I'm like, okay, you need to just go out and do stuff before you can really even charge, because there's going to be things that come up, especially when you're paid, that if you are if you're running independent and you haven't worked with other people and you haven't been doing it for a while, you'll find things that come up where you go, oh my God, how do I fix this? What do I do right now? And if that happens on a paid gig, it's an absolute nightmare. So it's better to get out there, do the free work, have those nightmares happen, and then know how to control them better later on when you are being paid for your value.
Absolutely. Actually, the funniest thing is all of my tattoo clients have come from one single person that I've only ever done trade for.
Nice.
So we trade tattoos for videos, and his videos perform really well, and they've got a good style to them, and it's worth it for me besides the fact of like getting cool tattoos from him. But in the sense of, it's just he's on a TV show called Ink Master, so he's really comfortable in front of camera. He's got a great personality. He's a very handsome dude. So it's beneficial to me because even when I hit him up, I actually didn't even offer like a full like trade value for the tattoo. I was just like, dude, if I like come and film you for a little bit, like, is that cool? Like, and he was like, yeah, absolutely. Like, we'll just trade tattoos for it.
Nice.
That works for you. And I was like, fuck yeah, it works.
That's amazing.
So, yeah. So finding the right people to do the trade work for, I think, or trade or free work for, I think is really important.
Yes.
And it's definitely something that people should jump into a little bit, because you have to think like, what's the alternative to it?
Yes.
I think doing free work for someone that's like kind of neurotic and like rude and stuff, definitely not worth it. Don't do that. Charge that person an infinite amount of money. But in the case of like, we'll jump back to this restaurant thing, like my alternative at for tomorrow, I don't have anything planned tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like, so I can either go put myself out there, maybe do this thing or schedule this thing, or I can watch YouTube videos and do goddamn nothing
Yeah.
all day.
Yeah.
So it's like, if you're not doing anything, you might as well do something.
Agreed.
I do free videos all the time just to like practice styles for certain things. Like I have a project coming up that I've probably done 4 or 5 like fashion style videos.
Nice.
Not for them,
Okay.
but just to practice.
Yes.
I wanted to practice different aspects of things because I think this client is a really cool dude. And I think he's got really great ideas, and I know that he's going to treat me well. So when I show up on location for him, I want him to be like, wow, this is incredible. And when he gets that final product too, I want to make sure that it blows him out of the water.
Yeah, which is huge. And then you never know what comes
Right.
from it from later on too. Even if you can do something for free, like you're saying, and sit with people, or you could do the barter, or you could do something for like, just pay me this like really small fee. And it's funny because those things eventually too, especially if you do good work, again, like you said, it just lands other work. And even, you might even be surprised, like through other people that I've done work for very low cost, I now literally get paid to make their TikTok videos, and I get paid to edit their YouTube videos. And people are like, you're getting paid to make other people's TikTok videos? And I'm like, yes, you never know how fortunate something can be if you just try.
100%. 100%. That's awesome. Yeah. There was a jumping off point, but my head just dumped all of the thoughts that I had.
That's awesome.
Oh man, yeah, it's gonna take a second.
That's okay.
But it's so good. Help me here. Start talking about something.
Well, so what are the so?
Oh, I got it. All right. So one of the things that I think is really, really important, and tell me if you agree with this, is don't ever post your price online and don't bid your time hourly, no matter any of those projects that you do, free or paid. And even when you do the free work, I think it's important to preface it with the phrase, I normally don't do this kind of thing for people, but I see something exceptional in you, and I'm going to do it this one time. I think that, one, makes the client or whomever you're filming for feel special. Yeah. And hopefully you genuinely mean that, because if you're doing free work for someone, I think you should genuinely like
100%.
and believe in the person that you're doing the free work for.
Absolutely.
But I think it sets them up with the proper framework for respect for what you do, and I think increases the likelihood of them actually paying you in the future at a rate that's fair to both of you.
Absolutely.
And bidding time for money is not, at least in my experience, I don't think it makes any sense. I don't think it leads to happy freelancer or happy client at all.
Absolutely. No, you're right. And that's the other thing that I think, especially if somebody is early on in their career or learning other things or just taking on that free work, etc., it is worth everything to sit down and learn the whole business side of it, learning how to create a contract, learning how to, learning what like everything about NDAs, insurance information, dates of payment, how to get paid, ways to get paid, all those different things, and then knowing how to bid a project, knowing how to do a storyboard, knowing how to do a brief, the differences between everything and how it can affect your proposal and be the difference between a few $100s or a few $1,000s. And then especially knowing how to prove and show your worth is huge. And to just know right up front, and I try to tell a lot of people, they're like, well, these are my rates. And I'm like, your rates are gonna vary on everything that you do. And it's funny, that's actually how I vet a lot of the people that contact me for work, because half the time I'll get one word, I'll get rates as a question. I'm like, you really want to start our working together with a one word? For me personally, I'm like, I'm like, okay, sometimes it works out, but literally you can see how serious somebody is in the way that they approach you about a project, and then the information they supply to you. And one of the biggest things I found is you always just right off the bat, like you said, you find out, at least for me, I find out what kind of investment they're looking to put into this project. Because it's so funny because people always, and you know this, and I think most people in our position greatly understand this, and it's one of the hardest things. Everybody wants this amazing stuff done, but they want to do it on a $200 to $500 budget, and then they don't understand why we don't have the gear or the lights or the equipment or the other things to make their things happen. And I'm like, you want this to happen and this to happen. I need a guy to run that light or to do this. I can't literally do all of it on my own if you want this level of a production. You got to hire assistants. You got to get gear. You got to do other things. Like there's a limit to what you can do on certain budgets. So knowing all of those aspects is going to make or break how far you can go unless you just let people steamroll you on everything. But then the quality of your work can only go so high. So it's a really interesting tightrope to learn how to walk.
Yeah, that is a lot, and
Yeah,
that is all correct.
Yeah.
Let's see, so many things to bounce off of there. One, yeah, people starting off with the rates conversation. That leads me to kind of two things actually. One, you're going to have kind of two options with this person. You're going to either just disengage completely, and just be like, I'm sorry, I don't know anything about your project. Or you just say I'm busy, or you ignore them or whatever. Hopefully you don't ignore them. Mm-hmm. Then your other option is, and I think this is really important, learning how to pivot with that person. Basically, what I usually say when someone says, well, what are your rates? I'm like, well, I quote everything individually based on the project needs. Do you maybe want to tell me a little bit more about what you're looking for? And then we can, if it sounds fair to both of us, we can get on a call and get more into detail and figure everything out. And if they respond positively to that, then you've now turned what is basically a cold lead and a price shopper, you've kind of turned them into a hot lead, and you can at least work around that.
That's huge.
And then the other thing that reminded me of is, because we're talking about like marketing yourself and getting, new clients and all that, is don't start off the engagement with a sale or a sales pitch. I think that's, I tried it at first because that's my first instinct. I had like a big message that I would send to people, and I would personalize it for everyone a little bit. I'd be like, hey, I was looking at your thing and I saw this, and like, I'm a videographer in Austin, and like, I can help you. And it's like, some people responded to it and we had conversations. Some people said no, but more often than not, people didn't even open it. But then I tried something different because I realized, personally, I'm there to help the client and try to figure out what they need. And people don't like to be sold, but they like to buy, and they like to invest in themselves. So what I did, and you saw this Facebook post, was I basically was like, all right, what market am I going to go after? Well, I got a lot of band dudes that pay attention to me for some reason. So I was like, everybody send me your music, basically. A post similar to that. If you're in a band, send me the most recent thing that you've done. So people on their own just comment that because they want to be heard, which, like, of course, is any musician's goal. And I want to hear them. But then at the same time, I'm listening to the songs, giving them valuable feedback. And the bands that I liked and I thought would be really cool, I would just send that person a message and just see what their plans were for the year, see what's going on with them, and just try to understand like what their band needs. And maybe sometimes it was me, and maybe sometimes it was just like, this is what they had going on. They already had everything taken care of, and that's tabled and it's cool. And that's a nice little relationship that you've then built. And there's, I think, no problem with that, because that kind of goes in one of two ways. It either turns into a hot lead where you've learned what their problems are and maybe you can diagnose it and fix it, or you've now just created a nice little relationship with somebody where they're like, oh, like, this is just a guy that like cares about how I'm doing and like what my band's up to, and he thinks we make good music. And maybe their friend or is in a band that's like in your area or is coming through on tour, and that friend says to them, because whatever reason, like, oh damn, we got this show and like we need someone to take photos for us at this thing because we're playing with like X big band, or oh, we got a music video but we weren't happy with this one, so we got to find someone new. you
Hmm.
know that person may be like, no, we're in a different area of the country. I feel like I
Hmm.
remember somebody from your area that seems to care, you know
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then that person might hit you up and have a conversation with you, and that's great. And so it goes only one of two ways. And I'll tell you, when I did that post too,
Hmm.
the people that I talked to that
Hmm.
actually like did want to have conversations about what they needed help with, the phone calls
Hmm.
that I had, like one of the guys thanked me like so personally twice. He was so happy that like someone actually was taking the time to listen to what his problems were, and not only like I showed him that I knew how to fix those problems, and of course there was like a paywall kind of thing around
Hmm.
it, but I was willing to gel and work with him in a way that you know was right for him, and I wasn't trying to push a sale like right away.
Hmm.
And I
That's
think
huge.
I think that's important. Is not, I mean, yes, you're gonna want the sale as quick as you can get it,
Hmm.
but you can't let that cloud your judgment.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there you just what you did is you just outlined a way to bring value versus a way to just make a product. You know what I mean? That's value over product because they need something, and you opened up a conversation in which they felt comfortable being able to take the steps to maybe finally take care of that thing that they've been needing and wanting, and will actually help take care of what they've been trying so hard to do with their music. So you just made it easier, and you took care of somebody, and because you do that, they'll have no problem, paying you and taking care of your time. That's huge.
Absolutely. And I think we both know that, and I think it's intuitive to both of us because of our
Hmm.
past career as stylist
Yeah.
and barber,
Yep.
is um when at least when I had my clients, dude, I would have like 10 plus minute consultations with them, and I
Yep.
would just nail the haircut the first time because I
Hmm.
was asking them questions that they just hadn't heard before. And
Yep.
like I actually cared about, you know, what it
Hmm.
was that they got.
Hmm.
And I'm sure you did something similar in the
Oh
sense of
yeah. I
like,
mean, well, it's amazing you bring that up because especially like you bring it back to hair, you bring it back to buying a car, anything. I am just stunned. I get really, for me, it's like a thing where I get almost really frustrated with people. I'm quick to just be like, how can you want somebody to pay you for your services when you don't have the decency to actually repeat back to them what it is they're asking for? I watch so many barbers and people, especially when I was cutting, somebody would sit down and they'd be like, I want a two in the sides and this and this, and their response would be okay, and then they just start. And I'm like, if you say okay to me and you don't tell me back to me what it is that I've asked for, either you must be that damn good and you should probably be charging a lot more for your services, or you didn't hear what I had to say and you're just going to do whatever, and I'm going to walk out of here unsatisfied. So that's a huge thing that you bring up, and it's knowing what people actually need and what they're looking for. And especially with video and whatnot, I turn down work all the time, and to my own deficit. I'll have periods of time where I won't have any work, and I'm fine with that because I'd rather work with people that want to actually put effort into what they're doing and want to bring value to my name as well. I'd rather have that than people that just half-ass the whole thing and don't want to actually try to better themselves along with whatever project I'm doing. I'd rather take that time and make no money and work on my own stupid TikTok posts and my own videos because at least I know that I'm trying. And I think that's huge. I think bringing value and then seeing where people actually want to do something. I'm very driven by purpose and wanting to get something done. I don't have a lot of time for I just thought this was just kind of cool. I'm like, okay, if it's kind of cool, that's one thing, and let me know up front, and maybe I'll still work with it. But otherwise, like, what are we doing here? Like, let's not mess around. Like, I'm more of a what's the end game versus a, you know, you know.
yeah. I think diagnosing the problem too definitely starts you down the correct path, both for pricing and, of course, the relationship.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to develop a very different video for somebody if they have a goal of, say, like getting new fans or new clients or new whatever versus,
Hmm.
say, like oh, I just want, something that's gonna go viral, let's say, right?
Yeah.
They're two very different goals that you can have in mind, and like you shouldn't show up to that shoot unprepared, or at least not
Yeah.
knowing in your head like what that
Yeah.
person wants and if you can do it.
Yeah. That's huge.
Yeah, and
That's a very good point.
turning clients away is also definitely important, and doing it somewhat politely is good. I actually turned someone away today.
Really?
They were like, "Oh, I want to do this birthday video, and it like might last like 3 days, and this and that." I was like, "Okay,
What?
can you tell me a little bit more about it?" They're like, "Well, my non-negotiable budget for it, for photo and video, is $200, but I'll give you 3 new projects down the line at full price for whatever." And
Nah.
I was like, that makes me feel a little confused.
Yeah.
Because this sounds like it's important to you, but you're not really willing to work with me. And I think we both know that $200 is pretty well below market average for this product.
Yeah.
But I think I know a website that can help you.
Yeah, that's the perfect Chris Do response.
Yeah, I said, sure. I gave this person Fiverr, to be honest with
Yep.
you. And
Yeah.
I actually do love that tactic, because I think for that person, it's correct.
Yeah. Well, and that's interesting you say that. I've been absolutely stunned by everybody from musicians to hairstylists and other people that want to like cheapen the value of my work all the time, or try and, well, if we just do this, or can it be this, or can it be that? And if I walked into you for a haircut and I said, listen, I got $5, but I'm probably gonna come back for another cut, you'd be like, get the hell out of my chair. Like, I don't understand. If you want a video, yeah, that's probably a luxury thing to get, but don't just assume that I'm gonna do it to you as a favor. It's like, do you know how much this equipment in the first place costs, or what it takes to sit down and edit? It's amazing to me how people liken video to something they can just completely barter for. I'm like, this is a luxury service in the first place, so you should really, really come prepared.
Absolutely, yeah. That's one of the things that I've also done with people, is I'll say, like, say for example, they say $200, right?
Uh-huh.
I'm like, well, you can't get me, but if you go to Precision Camera, they can rent you a camera body with no lens for $200
Yeah,
for the day.
yeah.
And then
Absolutely.
of course, like, I have a camera body with several lenses and microphones and lights and all of this sort of stuff. And I think that sometimes helps put things into perspective for people, is,
Yeah.
understanding the market value of even just the equipment that you own.
Yeah.
A 1-day rental
Huge.
for a Sony A7 III is, I think, $135 at the camera store near me.
Wow.
And then lenses are probably like 30 to 50, something
Yep.
like that.
Sounds about right.
Um,
Yeah.
So it's like $200. It's like, where's the space for profit?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and that's something you got to build into it.
Yeah, and I think where's the profit, and just where's that'll just, again, like you said and we talked about, comes back to working with people that maybe fit your vision and want to do certain things, because it's one thing if this is going to be something amazing and I can pour my heart into it and I have time to do it and I can do it for free or do it for next to nothing, versus, yeah, I want to help you succeed, and also if I'm going to help you succeed, you're going to make money and you're going to do well. By no means should I have to suffer to help you make more money. Unless there is maybe a contract or something else maybe in the future, but that gets into different levels. But yeah, it's I'm very much like, and don't get me wrong, like I know I come across very like like very angry about all of it, but it's because I mean, we all have it. I have horror stories. I have multiple people in very prestigious positions and etc. and people that everybody know who have not paid me, who have not paid attention to deadlines, done other things, and just literally they treat you to a certain way where you're like, wow, I mean, if somebody did this to you or somebody you cared about, I guarantee you would be
Up in
upset
arms.
about how they're being. Yeah, it's like, so why do you think you can get away with it for me, especially when I'm already in demand? It's like I don't have to put up with that anymore. So it's like, it's knowing your value, and then just sticking to it, which I think can be really hard. And it's hard for me because I can be a big pushover, but I'm learning how to be like, hey man, I'd like to eat too.
Yeah, absolutely. That's definitely, I mean, to tie it into the marketing yourself in slow season, I think our big soliloquy that we just had, as important as it is, can be boiled down to just know your own value, and just because you don't have work and you do need to eat, still don't sell yourself short, because it's only going to bite you in the ass in the long run.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I'd rather go back to cutting hair part-time or full-time and doing videos just for myself than completely do stuff and get railroaded / not be appreciated for what I'm doing,
Definitely. So that's something for people with when we're in the slow season and learning how to market yourself, is having other valuable skills that you can offer. So we could say stay in the same industry, right? Stay doing video, but both of us can do hair. I think both of us know a little bit about marketing, both in terms of free marketing and paid marketing. So that leads, even hair, right? That leads us to a couple different things that we can offer within our video service, or somebody else's video service, that can help us, break a little bit of the monotony or break the slow spell. And that's say you've networked with a bunch of people in your area, so you know some videographers and stuff like that. Try to let them know that you do hair as well.
Yeah.
So when they're shit, I have this shoot and the guy came and he doesn't have a fade, and for his role he's supposed to have a fade, or whatever it is. Hopefully there's more planning behind that, and they're all right, we're looking for these really specific looks with the models. You can be offering hair and or makeup or whatever else the other service is, for a price in that, and that'll, I think, leave people happy. And you can offer it within your own too. I've done that, where it's I have all my hair equipment and stuff, and then it's okay, well, we don't actually have to budget hair into this video, or not necessarily, we do still have to budget makeup, because I don't know how to do that. But it could definitely help add value to your productions in certain instances, right?
Oh yeah.
And then also with other skills like marketing and stuff like that. That's another thing that a lot of our clients, particularly the creative types, they have no idea how to properly run an ad.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, and that's you could probably mark this timestamp or whatever this is to your notes or something, but from the beginning of the video, when you asked, part of when we talked about what can you do in the slow season, etc., and things like that, kind of on what you're saying with offering that extra value. For me, one of the things I do, especially when I work with people, because I can do photo as well, I say, hey, here, I have different packages, is usually what I'll talk about, and they all range. But I'll be especially if it's a business, I offer the main video that maybe we've been talking about, and then I also will tell them, well, what do you have planned for the next quarter? What are the earnings? What are you trying to do? Because I can get you enough photography. I can do pictures as well while I'm here, and we can get you enough content basically to set you up for success on multiple platforms, so anywhere between the next month to the next quarter. So that way, yes, it could be one big upfront bill to work with me today, but now you have the next 3 months covered. You have different posts for every platform. You have different material for every platform. You have different videos. I can write copy. I also provide different versions of templates on how to post everything. I can make a template for literally every single aspect of media to basically put the videos together, throw on your graphics, take it all together, and make it so all you have to do is load it on your phone and press post. I can literally set it up so you can do everything on your own and look like you had a team behind you, when that team is in fact me, and I can do that all in 1 or 2 days of filming.
Incredible. Yeah. Also, really quick, because you're dropping hot knowledge. I don't know if you've looked, but we've been talking for 43 minutes.
Damn.
And the standard record time before your camera shuts off is 30.
Oh, yeah.
Is your camera shut off, or have you reset it?
So I have 2 cameras running. Let me reset one. I have the Blackmagic running for my main camera, and then I have my A7 III, which definitely died.
Yeah, I knew it.
Now it's back on, but no, thank you for saying that. Yeah, but I had the Blackmagic on for that reason. I'm recording straight to SSD.
Okay, incredible,
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, I didn't want anyone to miss that because I think that was a really
Thank
great
goodness.
great thing.
Good man.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I've definitely started delving more into that like branding and marketing approach.
Yes.
And there's a couple ways to offer that same level of service, right? So you have your template version, which is great. But then also, I bet you're gonna have some clients that still just like they don't even want to do it themselves.
Nope.
You know?
Yep.
So, I mean, of course, you can apply that same thing. I mean, you don't necessarily have to like give them the specifics of how you're going to do it, but you can apply that same thing and be like, look, you know, for this much, like I'll run it for you.
Yep.
You know, if you want to pay me more, I'll be the guy that stays on top of your content.
Yep.
You know, for X amount a month or, you know, whatever it is, and then we can re-up once we have the stuff there.
Yeah, and I actually love that and prefer that. I used to run social media for my old barbershop. I've done it for other individuals in hair. I've done it for musicians. I've done it for graphic designers. And then, of course, for myself. And I actually love that. Like I said, I get paid to post TikToks for people and do YouTube. I would actually personally rather do more editing and posting work. And then that way I know I have certain guaranteed income depending on the amount of time frame we might be looking at. But then that makes it so I can go and do different kind of shoots with maybe bands or certain influencers or celebrities and not have to worry as much, because I could go do something maybe when we talked about that's pro bono, but for like a very big thing, because I have other media or I have other payment coming in because I do offer media services, and I can literally do that on the road while I'm doing other projects. And so that takes you as a videographer to a whole nother level where you're no longer just a videographer, you're a complete content creator.
Correct. Yeah. And I think it's really important for people in our space to at least, if there's one thing to take away from the video is start branching out and doing more, because there has to be like a certain thing where it's like, okay, you know, you do this one thing, you do photo, you don't do video, you don't do marketing, and you don't know makeup, and you don't know all this other stuff, and like you're hell-bent on like only doing photo because it's what you love, and like, yes, I get it, there's certainly a space for that, but try to apply it in as many different areas as you can.
Absolutely. That's huge.
100%.
That's absolutely huge.
You just have to apply yourself, I think, in that is like, you more than likely already have the skills to do the thing. You just don't know that you have it, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Because like if you could take photos, like you could design a whole Instagram grid.
Yeah.
And if you can design a whole Instagram grid, like all you have to do is like learn how to come up with like witty captions and like learn the hashtag salad game. And like you've now basically increase the value of not only your photos but like your service in general, because it's like you can have whatever level of photos, but if you're able to, on top of like just paying for the photo and like looking cool for the client, if you're able to take all of that stuff and be like, look, here's this whole package that you can get, and it's more or less the same amount of work for you, but it adds tons more value to the client to actually see like monetary results of like, wow, there's like followers increasing, and those followers increasing are in it for more than just the cool photos or the cool videos or the music, whatever. They're like, it's actually creating real life engagement and turning into real dollars. I feel like that's going to turn that client way more likely to return and have their friends come to you.
Oh yeah, that's huge. And I mean, that kind of swings full circle in everything we've talked about. Like, you could literally sum everything up into just finding why you're doing what you're doing, and then deciding to bring value as opposed to just being a salesman. And if you stick to that and then learn a little bit of technical knowledge along the way, you will be fine. And you don't need fancy things. I mean, you can literally, especially like we're so spoiled today, as we know, like everybody, you know, people demonize social media and all these other things, and it's all about how you look at it. And I mean, the ability to literally change your own world and to also change other people's world, like with what you can do, is just, it's absolutely phenomenal. So yeah, like with what you said, if you can bring value, find a way to bring value, and the rest will take care of itself. I think that's the biggest thing for me personally. So I think you really hit on the head with that.
Dope.
Yeah.
What else? Maybe let's add, for wrapping this up, maybe we can think of, or just talk about one last thing,
Okay.
and that's the material things that like videographers specifically can, or photos, right? Just creative people can do. Like, what do you think's a good tip for something that they can actually create to drum up business?
So what is something somebody can create to actually get more business, to just get started? Are we talking about getting started?
Let's say they've been doing it enough to the point where people are, you know, people look at their work and they know that they have to pay for that work in order to get it. But maybe this person is like, damn, things are a little bit slower than I would like them to be.
Oh yeah, that's huge. Well, for one, like we both talked about earlier, do the 10 minutes it takes to do the research on how to run the ads manager through Facebook, and then decide to go ahead and create an ad that you can post on Facebook and Instagram, and then also figure out how you can actually use that on TikTok and find a different way to change the language in it to present it on LinkedIn in a more business way. That for me is like one of the, that's what you said, right? Like what are some of the ways to start to get more business? It literally comes down to just figuring out how you're going to make those things happen. And it's just having the knowledge of how, like, literally, you can take your iPhone, set it up against the wall, like on a cup or whatever, so it's not falling over. Film yourself talking on it. And if you add titles at the bottom of it, like captions to each word you say, and just know how to market that to your area, that's going to get more results than anything else you could probably put a ton of time into, because people will automatically stop. And even if they don't turn the sound on, they can read it. Right there, you've grabbed them. You change a couple colors on it here or there, or do a couple little things or a flash, suddenly it grabs people. And so it's all just finding those small ways to put yourself in front of an audience. And like we've talked about, it's taking all those different methods that are out there and just jumping on each one of them. And then again, finding out how to cater it to each audience. Because you're gonna have a different audience on LinkedIn than you are gonna have on TikTok. So just knowing, doing a little bit of like, okay, well, what are these 17-year-olds that are doing all these hip hop videos and everything? How can I relate to them versus the 50-year-old business guy who could literally with one decision make or break my career? Like, you know, so there's a lot of that. And that's one of the biggest things I was gonna say, especially with LinkedIn, is go on there, find people that are in businesses and in the type of businesses that you wanna work with, like find those big companies and add all of them and send them personalized messages, not as spam, but just to say, hey, this is me. I see where you're at. I'd love to work with you someday. Like, doing things like that can literally change your entire world. It's crazy.
No, 100%, 100%. You're correct on that. 100%. So we're gonna get into two kind of things here before we head off, and that's paid promotion versus free promotion or free marketing, paid marketing. Because some people are going to have money and they're going to want to make use of that, and then some people are just not going to have the money to do something. So if you're running paid promotion, you can afford to do that while you're in your slow season. Running targeted ads, like I mentioned earlier, is really important. So you got to make sure that you understand it. So an example is, as we said, videos are kind of a little bit of a luxury service. So
100%.
You're not really going to target lower income brackets that you know it would be too much of a struggle for them to afford. So you're kind of looking at that like $50K and up kind of range for people making certain incomes, because ads do let you target that kind of thing. Now, the next thing that you got to work with is age.
Yep.
So you're not really going to be going at that below
Yeah.
18-year-old age, because again, they don't have the money for it. They can't really hire you, and you're probably not going to be going 60 and up either,
Yep.
because that's kind of the retirement age. So they will probably not have a use for you either. So you're looking at a specific area, and then you can target specific interests and all of that sort of stuff through Google, Facebook, Instagram, all of it. And you want to lean into those ads too. You don't want to make it too broad. You don't want to set up a campaign for the whole United States necessarily, because that doesn't really make sense for one ad. I mean, you can run ads throughout the entire United States, but you're going to want to break it up into a few. Now, say you're doing it for Austin, Texas, right? Because that's where I'm at. I would lean into that kind of advertisement and that targeted ad, and I would go, hey, are you an 18 to 25-year-old playing in a band in Austin, Texas? And the person that's on the receiving end of that ad is going to be like, whoa, dude, is like my phone listening to me? Like, that's weird. Because most people don't understand how targeted that you can be with ads. So that would be a much more effective way to run a promotion, because you know exactly your target audience and you're speaking to them directly, so you're going to naturally get more engagement from that. Now, as I said, free marketing is very different, but it can still be really effective, and there's definitely ways to make that work, but it requires hustle. So what I like to do, and one thing that you should learn, is I call it like the hashtag salad, which is you find different hashtags with different amount of clicks on them. So say like I would run ATX photographer, right? That's a hashtag, and that's got maybe 20K posts about it. 20,000 hashtags. Now that's a lot. And you got to try to find ones that are higher than that and ones that are way lower than that. And you're going to want to basically use Instagram and find out who the top 9 are. Start interacting with those people, and then also go into the recent tab and start interacting with those people. And your goal is to get in the top 9 when someone searches for the specific hashtag that you're using. And that's going to be really effective, because especially if there's certain tags that you know common people are going to be searching for, so not necessarily people in your industry, but your clients, they're going to have an easier time finding you if you're in the top, rather than most of the time they're not going to go to the recent, because they
100%.
probably want the best that they can get, and the top posts are generally the highest quality content. So then you get into the question of how do you get there? Well, the reality of it is, and this is where the hustle comes in, you got to just start interacting with people, and that's what's really important. You really got to interact with them. So that means leaving meaningful comments, liking a bunch of their pictures. Now, don't be spam, and don't just like, leave like a bunch of emojis. That doesn't really do anything. But like, 3 to 5 words of something that's pertaining to the picture, and like lets the person know that you've interacted with their posts fully and engaged with it fully, and they're more likely to be like, they're at least going to respond to you probably. But they're more likely to come to your page and check out your work. Now, you don't necessarily want to go off on big paragraphs and, really engage too much, because time is of the essence. But I think also there's going to be some instances where you do. I ran into somebody somehow where I was just really impressed with their grid, their feed. It was so incredible, man. Like, their whole grid created one picture, but not in the corny way where it's like different parts of it are like different parts of the same image. Every image was different, but contained parts of the other, and they stood alone well, and they, on a grid, looked really good too. So I left him a longer comment because I thought that this was someone that was really cool and was doing something really creative. And he actually didn't have a ton of followers either, which I thought was pretty crazy. But besides the point, you got to interact with people, and you never know where that stuff will lead. Because if you build an online friendship or an in-person friendship with somebody, there's going to be times where there's that spill up, because hopefully they're like you and me, where they'll say, I don't have time for this job, I'm too busy, or whatever, to clients, and then they may send them to you. Or if they're just in a different area of the country and then they've got somebody asking them from, wherever we're at, it can help a lot, can help a lot.
Yeah, I mean, just being part of the conversation, and that's on every app, and again in person. You just find what's going on, and maybe check what area maybe you want to be involved in, and if somebody posts something, get in there. That's just another way, especially if you post something witty or funny or something like that. People are going to take a look at what you've done. So that's really smart.
Definitely.
Yeah, I don't even. It's hard for me. I need to work on being a better salesman. I don't even try to sell people anymore because I hate it. I mean I do tactical things obviously to try and land the job. But my whole thing again always comes back to what are you trying to accomplish? Some of my favorite people that I've worked with, they have the most talent I've ever seen and have so much to offer. But I literally have to like text and call them every other day to be like, hey, did you post that content? And it's so hard to like that's the biggest thing. It's like if we're gonna start this, like let's do it for the right reasons. And then everything else I think falls into that. Because especially I know it's like, with our content, with the things you can bring to somebody, if they put in the same amount of work that you put in, they'll make money. And then you're automatically going to be taken care of as well, because when you show that value, the rest of it takes care of it by itself. And so I lean heavy into that, and that's what always pays dividends for me.
Well, awesome, man. I feel like we've really covered this. Thank you so much for
Yeah.
for working with me here and jumping on the channel and having a discussion.
Yes, thank you for your time.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is going to be really valuable to people. And I would love to do more of this, whether it's, we film it this week or we film it next week.
Yeah, no, totally. We should definitely come up with more topics, and we can make some banger like 10-minute videos, conversations, and yeah, let's make it a thing.
Maybe we can aim for next week on your channel. We can talk about another topic. I'm thinking the natural jumping off point from where we're at is building relationships within your industry and outside of your industry, both in person and online.
That'd be great.
And kind of the importance of that. I think that would be something that's really helpful for people.
Hell yeah.
Because there's a lot of introverts out there. I myself am one, and it's not necessarily always easy. And yeah, people seem to think that it's competition, and it's not.
Yeah, that's a whole another topic I could rant about. Starting in this industry was tough. I used to want to start a website or a brand called Snob Media because people wouldn't have anything to do with me because I didn't know what I was talking about. But the whole reason I was trying to talk to them was to try to get help so I could know what I was talking about. It's a very interesting thing how people get. I'm like, man, just help people. Like, just calm down. Let's just help each other. Well, cool, man.
All right, man. Well, that feels like the natural end to this, so I'm gonna let you be on the rest of your day.
Hell yeah.
All right, thanks again.
Absolutely, dude. Thank you.
All right, love you. Bye.
All right, man. Love you too. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, thank you so much for watching this video. Hopefully you learned something from it. If you did, share it with one of your creative friends and have a conversation with them about it. See what ideas you guys can come up with, and then drop them in the comments to help some other people. Maybe you'll end up helping me and teaching me something, or Ryan, or both of us. But either way, he and I are going to see you in the next video. We're going to be talking about the value of friendship and working relationships in your industry and how you can both benefit from that and how this isn't a zero-sum game. All right, we'll see you next time.